Om Sahanavavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahavinam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varahe Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Samasta Janakayani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. So Arjuna, very confident on the battlefield, as soon as he sees Bhishma and Drona, he loses all his confidence. And he thinks, how can I kill my grandfather? How can I kill my teacher? And he goes into a panic. He loses his whole mental stability at that time. It's like at work, when we have a deadline, maybe you just had a quarterly deadline just now. You know, you have a quarterly deadline, and you know that the work is not going to be able to get done by that deadline time. And you have no idea what you're supposed to do or who you're supposed to talk to, and you go into that kind of panic. Or in college, right? When you had that essay due, they gave you the essay prompt like 2 months before, but you kept procrastinating, and finally the day before the essay is due, you haven't even started writing, just like barely an outline you started writing. So what do you have to do that night? You have to drink a bunch of coffee and pull an all-nighter, right? So you stay up that night, you're very stressed and nervous the whole night because you know the paper is not looking very good, and you know that the grade you're going to get is not very good. So that kind of stress, that kind of panic, Arjuna was going into, where he lost control of his body, mind, and intellect. In that state, what did Lord Krishna do? When Arjuna was just talking and talking and talking, Lord Krishna was just listening to Arjuna, telling all the reasons that he didn't want to fight, that how bad it was going to be for the society. Oh, so many people die in this war, all the fathers and all the husbands. Then the family will lose its structure, the traditions will get lost, and everyone will go to hell. Lord Krishna just sat there listening to Arjuna. And when Arjuna finally stopped talking, what did Lord Krishna say? Lord Krishna said, Arjuna, if you don't fight in this war, you will be known as the biggest coward of all time. So you had better fight. You had better fight. Arjuna was not persuaded by this. You know, as a warrior, he should have been persuaded by this. It is his glory to claim for all time. Arjuna was not persuaded. So Lord Krishna did a deeper intervention. Lord Krishna gave Arjuna Jnana Yoga, that knowledge of the Supreme Self. Lord Krishna told Arjuna, Arjuna, you are the indestructible, infinite, and real Brahman, who cannot suffer any pain. Your nature is of true bliss. You're not the body which is going to die. You're not the mind which is going to suffer. You're not the intellect which can be confused. You are Brahman. So go out there and fight. You're not the one that's having problems. Problems are for the body, mind, and intellect, and you are not the body, mind, and intellect, you are Brahman. All your problems are not your problem at all. Arjuna was not persuaded, Arjuna did not understand. So what did Lord Krishna prescribe instead of Jnana Yoga in order to help Arjuna? Lord Krishna prescribed Karma Yoga. Okay? And what do we broadly say Karma Yoga is? It is selflessly offering actions to the Lord and graciously accepting the results from the Lord. Okay? So that's what we covered last time. So, if we want to understand Karma Yoga, what should we understand? We should understand karma. What does karma mean? Who can tell? Work, okay, that's a good answer. What else? Action, okay? So if we want to understand Karma Yoga, we should understand action, okay? Now, broadly speaking, we can say action comes in two categories, okay? One is physical action, action performed by the body. So that's like walking, running, kicking, throwing, doing work is very important. So all of these are action, okay? Then, the second type of action we can call as speech, right? So speech is the second kind of action. When we're talking, or we're yelling, or we're praising someone, or we're criticizing someone, or we're cursing, or we're praying, these are all forms of speech. So action comes on in two types. What is the first type? Physical. Okay, and what is the second type? Verbal, speech, right? Physical and speech. Okay, so step number one. Action is either performed by the body, like work, or it is speech. Okay? Then, second thing is, why do we do action? Why do we perform actions? Because we want a result. We perform actions because we want a particular result. Okay? So far it's very easy. Okay? We perform actions because we want a particular result. So work, we do our work, we perform our action at work because we want a salary, we want to earn some money, we want a good insurance, we want a good retirement package, we want that sense that I'm using my talents at work, we want that sense that I'm doing something with my life, we want that respect that comes from others. We also want to have that feeling that we're making progress at work as we get our raises, bonuses, and promotions, right? So it worked like that. Why do we have children? Why do we have children? Because at a certain point of our life, we have that kind of feeling of emptiness, that I need to move forward in our life, you know? And by having children, you know, that sense of emptiness goes away. Or we have children because we want that child so that we can love that child so much. And that child can show affection back to us. Or we want children because we see all our friends having kids, people the same age as us, and we don't want to feel left out. Or another big reason we have kids is what? Parents are telling over and over again, you must have kids, you remember that stage, and you're like, you're X number of years old, why haven't you had kids yet? I didn't say what X number of years is, okay? so for so many, we have kids also because we want to pass down our traditions as well, and show them how to be a good person, right? Like that, we have children, you know? We also do actions in order to get so many of possessions, so many things that we want to enjoy in this world, like a house that we want to have so we can accommodate our family and guests, that people come and show our house, the various things that we want to enjoy, electronics and everything. We want that result of enjoying the various objects in this world. Even when we talk, we have that need, we have that desire to express ourselves the way that we want to, so that we can tell what our ideas, what our feelings are, and that other people can hear them, And then we feel important when we express our ideas to other people, right? And then also at times we talk because we want other people to feel a certain way, you know? Well, when we want someone to feel very happy and nice, you know, we say very sweet, soothing, loving words to them. You know, when we want someone to feel bad, we'll say, you know, why did you do like that? How could anybody ever think to do like that, you know? So we do actions because we want to get a particular result. Okay, so action can be either through physical action or through speech, or action, and action is done because we want a particular result. Okay, so far so good? All right. Now there are a number of problems with action, right? So if we want to understand Karma Yoga as a solution, we have to understand what are the various problems with action. So I'm going to tell 5 problems with action, okay? So, number 1, action is addictive, okay? Action is addictive in nature. Now let me ask a question. Is action limited or is action unlimited? Well, let me ask a different question first. Is action temporary or is action permanent? Who says permanent? Anybody? Who says temporary? Okay, action is temporary. Why? Action starts at a particular time and it ends at a particular time. So action is temporary, right? Now is action limited or is action unlimited? Action is limited. Not only is it limited in time, which means temporary, but it's limited in the sense you only put a limited amount of energy and thought power into the action. So action is impermanent and action is limited, okay? If action is impermanent and action is limited, then the result is also impermanent and the result is also limited. So I do the action, I enjoy the result, but that result is temporary, right? That result is temporary. And once I'm finished enjoying the result, then what happens? I have that feeling of emptiness again. So then what do I have to do? I have to do another action, okay? And once I do another action, I get another result. And once I'm finished enjoying that result, I feel empty again, and then what do I have to do? I have to do another action, then I get another result, and once I'm finished enjoying that result, then what do I have to do? What do I have to, I've already said it 3 times. What do I have to do? I have to do an action, and then I get another result, and then I enjoy that result, and then what do I have to do? Why is he saying 4 times? This is so annoying. But just as repetitive as it is when I'm saying it, just know that this is your life. Your life is just a repetition of doing actions, getting results, enjoying the result and feeling empty afterward, and having to do the actions again. Action is addictive in nature, right? It's like when you're watching YouTube, right? You know, there's a show called First Take on ESPN, and this guy named Stephen A. Smith. How many of you seen the show? It's not very many people. I should have picked a different show. Okay? But he's a very entertaining guy. He likes to debate and argue about sports and tells a lot of jokes and just like yells at the top of his lungs all the time. So like on YouTube, I want to watch his show, so I'll watch a 5-minute clip of his show. So I'll click on that clip. So he'll like yell and scream for like 5 minutes, and it's very entertaining. And as soon as the video is over, what happens? Then I'll feel a little bit empty, and I'll say, okay, let me watch the next clip of him screaming at someone, right? It's very insidious, actually. You don't even have to click on the next one. The next one will automatically come out, autoplay after like 5 or 6 seconds or something like that. So I watch that video, next video, and then I feel joy while I'm watching the video. When the video ends, then what happens? The next video comes. And like that, action is addictive. And the more that I watch, the more that tendency is to watch more. That vasana for that thing grows, right? So I keep getting caught in that loop. I keep getting caught in that cycle. Even the way they advertise potato chips. What do they say? Once you pop, you can't. Once you pop, you can't. Once you pop, you can't. Bet you just can't eat one. Right? Potato chips, right? So it shows the addictive nature of action and enjoyment, right? And so much time and energy gets wasted in that. You're watching YouTube, you think you're going to watch for 10 minutes, and then how much time passes? An hour, hour and a half, something like that, right? So action is addictive, and it wastes away our time and energy. Okay, so that's problem number one with action. Action is addictive, okay? Then what? Problem number two. Action is, now if we get what we want, even if we get what we want, the result that we want, action is problematic. Why? If I get what I want, I can suffer either one of two problems, or both. Either I can get greedy, or I can get prideful, right? So I do an action, I get the thing that I want, and if that's not enough, then I want more. So I become greedy, right? Like for example, somebody has bought a pair of shoes for casual going to the grocery store and stuff like that, And then this person, I don't know who it is, but this person says, these shoes for going to the grocery store are very good, but I need a pair of shoes, for casually going out with my friends. So then they go buy another pair of shoes. You know what? I need a pair of shoes also that's good for fitness, for my walking and for my running and stuff like that. I think I'm going to buy those Hoka shoes that everyone's talking about. They're very supported, they're very good kind of shoe. So then another pair of shoe is bought. So far, everything is required. So far so good, no problem. You need all these different kind of shoes. You know what? I need a more formal kind of shoe also. Another pair of shoes bought. I need a shoe that goes with my red outfit. Whenever I wear a red blouse, I need a shoe that goes with that particular red blouse. Good, fine, no problem. I need a shoe that goes with my blue outfit. Another pair of shoes bought. How many pairs of shoes are we at so far? 6, I think. Okay. I have this particular bag, the Michael Kors bag that I have, and I need a nice black boot that goes with that particular bag. Pair number 7. I need a pair of shoes for a more formal occasion. Pair number 8. And like that, it goes and goes. And then what happens? The mudroom of your house, every cabinet gets filled with a bunch of shoes. On top of the cabinet, you put a bunch of plastic boxes and you stack those boxes up until it goes to the ceiling. And every time you need a pair of shoes, you have to get the step ladder out, go get the shoe from there, and, like that. I thought this example would be funny. And I don't have an anti-shoe agenda, even though it sounds like that. Okay. But anyhow, once we get something that we want, there's a tendency to want more and more of that thing, right? So this is called as greed. This is called as lobha. Okay? So this tendency to want more and more of what you already have is called as lobha. Even when we get what we want, the other problem that we have is pride. It's like, oh, I got into the best university. And because I went to the best university, I got a really good job where I earned a lot of money. And I bought such a huge, big, nice house. And I got all the cars that I wanted, and I got the kitchen exactly in the yard exactly the way that I wanted, And really speaking, I'm doing much better than all these other people. Okay? Not so much of a problem to get what you want, but when it makes that jump into I'm better than all those other people, then this is called as pridefulness or arrogance, right? What is the word for pride in Sanskrit? Mada. Okay? So lobha, when we get, the problem with action is when we get what we want, then either we become greedy to get more, or we become prideful in that what we have. Because we feel I'm the one who earned so much. I did this all. So that sense of pride comes. Okay? So first problem is, action is addictive. And the second problem is, action, when we get what we want, can lead to greed or pride. Okay? So far, do we understand? Then third thing. When we get what we want, we feel that's nice, but when we don't get what we want, then we have some certain other problems. So when we don't get the desired result of action, some other problems come, right? Think of your kid when they ask for a smartphone. Okay? How old are your kids generally when they ask for smartphones? 5, 6? 5, 6. Good Lord. What, anybody has any other answer? Everyone's 5, 6. 9, 10, 11, around that middle school age, right? So when they want a phone, they'll say, Mommy, Daddy, I really need a smartphone. I want the new iPhone because all my friends have it, and I'm the only one who doesn't have it. It's just 2 or 3 of us who don't have it, and I really, really need it. You know, they all message each other after school, and because I don't have it, I'm feeling left out. And, you know, don't I need a phone for emergencies too? You should really give me a phone. What, you don't want me to be safe, Mom? Please, I need a phone. And you know, I promise that I won't play too many games, or that I won't watch too many YouTube, or use it at night. Please give me a phone. I'll be responsible. I definitely will never lose it or break it. You know? Please, Mommy, Daddy, please give me a phone. Please give me a phone. You know, and you'll say, you know what? I'm not so sure that you're ready for a phone yet. And then what does a kid do? Mommy, Daddy, I can't believe it. You never ever give me what I want. You never take care of me. How can you not give me a phone? I'll be the only one without a phone. My brother got the phone when he was 9. I'm already 11. You haven't given me a phone. Why? This is so unfair. You never do anything I ask, and you never ever take care of me, right?
I hate you. Yeah.
I hate you. Mom, Dad, I hate you so much. You know? So what is this called? This is called as anger. When we don't get the thing that we want, whoever stopped us from getting it, we get very angry at this person. And anger is known as krodha. Okay? Anger is known as krodha. And that anger can lead to a kind of delusion. What does delusion mean? Mommy, Daddy, you never take care of me. Now you've been taking care of that kid for non-stop, continuously for a whole 12 years, right? So they've forgotten. They've become deluded because of their anger. So when we don't get what we want, that leads to anger and delusion. Okay? Another problem comes when we don't get what we want. Let's say at work, we're working towards a promotion, right? So last 5, 6 years we've been working towards a promotion, and like pretty much now we're doing the same job as what we would get promoted to. I'm already doing the work at that next level. So I think that I'm the one that should be promoted, right? And they open the requisition for the new position, and you know, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I interview for the job and everything, and the interview went really well. And after 2, 3 weeks, what do I find? They didn't hire me. They hired somebody else. But not only did they hire somebody else, they hired somebody brand new from outside the company to come into that position. That person doesn't even know anything about the company at all. They don't have any experience. They don't know how all the systems work. I was already doing that job. Why did they hire somebody from outside to do that job? So how do you feel towards that person that got the job? You feel a sense of jealousy, right? So the other problem, if we don't get what we want, whoever did get what we wanted, you know, because life can be competitive at sometimes, we feel jealous towards that person, right? So when we don't get what we want, the problems that can come are anger and delusion, as well as jealousy. All right? So first problem with action is addictive. Second problem with action is when we get what we want, we may become greedy or prideful. The third problem with action is that if we don't get what we want, we can become angry or jealous and get deluded with the anger. Okay, so far so good. So what is the fourth problem with action? The fourth problem with action is when we're so eager to get the result of action, while we're doing the action, we feel so anxious and stressed. We get very, very worried while we're performing the action itself, right? So for example, like your kids have to take an SAT test, right? So that SAT test, they sit there and they think, oh my God, I have to do well on this SAT test. If I don't do well, mom and dad are gonna kill me. And you know what? If I don't do well on this test, I won't get into a good college. And if I don't get into a good college, I won't be able to get a good job with money. And if I don't get those things, then no one will want to marry me. And then if I'm unmarried, then I'll just be alone all the time and I'll die, right? So like, when we're focused on the result while we're doing the action, then our mind goes in so many directions and we get so stressed out and anxious while we're doing the action. Now, if we're anxious while we're doing the action, while we're taking the test, for example, are we going to do well on the test? Yes or no? No. Probably you're not going to do very well on that test because what are you thinking of? You're thinking of the possible results. What are you not thinking of? You're not thinking of the test, right? Same thing in like a musical performance, singing or playing some instrument, If you're thinking, I hope I don't make a mistake, I hope I don't make a mistake, it'll be so embarrassing if I make a mistake in my playing, then what's going to happen probably? You're going to make a mistake, right? You're going to make a mistake. So, that is another problem with action. When we're so eager for the result, then we don't focus on the action and the quality of the action is not good. Even in a job interview, right? If you're thinking about, am I going to get the job? Is this person going to like me? Is this, am I going to get the salary and benefits and everything like that? Then you're not thinking about the questions being asked of you in the interview and you're probably going to flub some answers, right? So, eagerness for the result in action causes the action to be a low quality, the action to be inefficient. Fourth problem understood? Okay. Now, fifth problem, we'll see that action creates another kind of cycle. So we have to understand the nature of action and result, the law of karma, a little more deeply. Okay? We know that if we do an action, we'll get a result. But actually, there's something a little deeper than that. If I do a good action, I will get something called a punya. Okay? And later on, either immediately or later on, that punya will yield me sukha, or enjoyment, right? So good action leads to punya, good action leads to punya, and punya leads to sukha. Okay, so I'll give an example to make it clear. A lot of examples today. Alright? So I'm driving down the road, and I see somebody on the side of the road, their tire is flat. They have a flat tire, and they look like they need help changing that flat tire. So what do? I pull over, and I help that person change their flat tire. Okay? So I've done a good action, and for that good action, I earn some punya. Okay? So far so good? Now, that person says, thank you so much for helping me with my flat tire. You know what? I'm going to take you out to dinner tonight, wherever you want to go. Right? So then you go to dinner with that. What a nice person, right? We should applaud that person. Okay? So you go to dinner with that person that night, and you have a nice dinner, and you enjoy that dinner so much. It's a very tasty, 3-star Michelin kind of dinner. Wow, amazing. Okay, so you enjoy, right? It's so tasty, and you enjoy, right? So that good action led to a punya, and that punya led to the enjoyment of that dinner. Okay? As soon as you enjoy that dinner, what happens to the punya? The punya goes away. Okay? That punya gets burned. Is it clear? Okay. But what's the problem here? Not every result is going to come very quickly. Okay? So let's say I see a homeless person, right? They look very hungry and tired and everything. And I decide to give that homeless person, I give them some food and some water, right? So I've done the good act of giving the homeless person food and water, right? And then so I get a punya. But this punya is not going to give its fruit until my next life, right? And if I get a punya, I have to enjoy the sukha from that, the enjoyment from that punya, right? But that punya, for whatever reason, is not going to give enjoyment to until the next life. Which means what? Before you can take a next life, what happens? You have to die, right? What do they say? Everybody wants to go to heaven, but no one wants to die, right? So before you can enjoy that punya, which is assigned for the next life, you have to die. Not only you have to die, you have to be, in order to have the next life, not only you have to die, you have to be born. You have to be born again, okay? So you have to be born again. And when you're born again, you'll be, if you're a human being, you'll be a helpless little baby, right? Your parents will have to potty train you again. You're going to have to go to school and deal with all these teachers and learn all these things. You know, you're going to have to get a job, you know? And then you're going to enjoy that punya, right? Enjoy the fruit of that punya, enjoy the sukha. So just to get that sukha, you had to die, and you had to be born again, you had to be potty trained and go to school, just so that you could enjoy that sukha. And because you were born again, what has to happen? You have to die again. Right? So because of that good action you did, you got the punya. That punya is not going to bear fruit until the next lifetime, so you have to die, then you have to be born again, then you enjoy that, the sukha from that punya, just a little amount of enjoyment from the sukha of that punya, and then you have to die again. Okay? You see, I'm never going to help any homeless person. I'm never going to do anything good for anybody. Look, they made me die again. And if you die again, what has to happen after that? You have to be born again. And if you're born again, then what has to happen after that? You have to die again. And if you die again, you have to be born again. And if you're born again, and you have to die again. And it goes on endlessly like that. Is death a nice, pleasant thing? No. Death is the least nice, least pleasant thing. Death is the worst. And yet, we have to be born and we have to die again. Death is very, very unpleasant. Okay? So we're caught. What action does is it catches us in this cycle of birth and death. Because not every punya I'll enjoy the sukha in this life. Some sukha will be postponed for the next life. Okay? And not only is that true for punya, that's also true for papa. Okay? So, let's say that I'm at work or school or whatever, and I steal the credit for somebody else's work. Right? So I've done a bad action and I get a papa. But for that, I never get caught. I've successfully taken the credit for the work and no one calls me out on it and I never get caught. You know? My whole life, to my grave, I never get caught. Right? So that papa is still there. And that papa is not going to bear its fruit until the next life. Right? So that papa will bear its fruit in the next life means I have to die again and I have to be born again, right? And then at some point I'll suffer the result of that papa. Papa, if good action leads to punya leads to sukha, then bad action leads to papa, leads to dukkha, leads to suffering. So I'll suffer in that next life because of the bad action I did in the previous life. Right? And then what happens when I suffer in the next life? why am I suffering? What did I do to deserve this? You know? Because you don't know what you did to deserve that because it happened from your past life. Right? It's like, oh, why me? Why is all this happening to me? You know? Like that. So, action keeps us caught in the cycle of birth and death. Is it clear? Do you understand the logic behind it? Okay, so these are the five, I'm sure there are more problems, but these are the 5 problems I wanted to highlight. The first problem is action is addictive. Second problem is when I get what I want, then it could lead to greed and pride. Third problem, if I don't get what I want, it could lead to anger and jealousy. Fourth problem is when I'm so eager for the result during the action, I'm so stressed out. You know? And the fifth problem is action, by its very nature, becomes the cause for so many births and so many deaths. Okay? So do we understand the problem? Yeah. If I want to sell the solution, I first have to sell you a problem, right? That's like a sales tactic, right? So these are the 5 problems with action. Okay? So then, naturally, if these are the problems with action, what is the solution? The solution is known as karma yoga. Like we said earlier, karma yoga is the selfless offering of that action and the gracious acceptance of the result. So let's go a little deeper into these 2 things and then we'll move forward. Right? So what does it mean, selfless offering of action? Instead of doing the action for my own enjoyment, I'm not so concerned with my enjoyment. Actually, I'm doing the action in order to make the Lord happy. Okay? I'm prioritizing the Lord's happiness over my own happiness. Okay? So I'm doing the action in order to make the Lord happy. Number 1. Okay? Then, when the result for that action comes, what I think is, no matter what the result is, that result is what the Lord thinks is best for me. I did the action in order to make the Lord happy. I did my best. Whatever result comes, that is, whether it's good or whether it's a bad result, that result, I take, the Lord is doing what is best for me. You know, even if it's a bad result, I'll think I have something to learn and grow from this experience. Okay? So broadly speaking, this is what karma yoga is. Offering the action in order to make the Lord happy. I care more about the Lord's happiness than I care about my own happiness. And then accepting the result as the prasada of the Lord. This is what the Lord thinks is best for me. Whenever we get prasad from the temple, we don't judge the prasad. We just accept it with a kind of grace and care. Okay? So this is the 2 points. Now let me go a little bit deeper into it. So first thing about karma yoga is, why should we want the Lord to be happy? We should have that sense of deep gratitude for everything that the Lord has given us. The Lord has given us this embodiment, this body. The Lord has given us a very sharp and intelligent mind. The Lord has given us such good parents who are in a good situation, who are able to provide so much for us, who are able to get us educated and made sure that we have the right connections to get the right job. The Lord has done so many wonderful good things for us, has given us so many opportunities in so many ways. Lord has given us a wonderful spouse. Lord has given us such beautiful and magnificent children. So there's so many beautiful, wonderful things that we should have so much gratitude for the Lord. And we should express that gratitude by dedicating our actions for the Lord's happiness. You know, I want the Lord to be happy. I'm okay no matter what. I really care that God is happy. The Lord's happiness is more important than my happiness. And you know what? All of you, or most of you, really understand what this means, right? Because as soon as your child is born, whose happiness is important? The child's happiness is the most important thing. Your happiness is not as important, right? That's why this parenthood is such a beautiful experience, right? The child's sleep is important. Whether you sleep or not is not important, you know? The child's cleanliness and health is important, you know? And you have to change all the diapers and go through all that unpleasantness, right? So we put the happiness of it's more important that our child is happy than our own happiness. So much we sacrifice for the happiness of the child. Yes or no? Right? I can go into more elaborate details when I'm running out of time. Okay? So the child's happy. And then it's such that no matter how much you struggle or sacrifice, as soon as you see that the child is happy, what automatically happens? You become happy. Right? So when I make the child happy, sacrifice to make the child happy, then I become happy myself. Okay? In a similar way, when I am so grateful and I have so much love in my heart for the Lord, then when I feel that the Lord is happy, then I feel that I'm happy also. Right? But you know, it's so easy to tell whether the child is happy or unhappy. If they're happy, they're all laughs and smiles, and if they're unhappy, they're crying and wailing and screaming and yelling. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Everyone's still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. But how do I know that God is happy? You know? Whenever you're dedicating your action to the Lord in order to make the Lord happy, what are you going to do? You are going to do your best. You're going to do that action, that service, the best way that you can. Yes or no? Right? And when you do your best, you're going to feel that, and that smile will come in your heart. That smile of the Lord will come in your heart. In your heart, whenever you've done your best, you know that you've done everything you can to make the action successful, to make the Lord happy, then in your own heart, you will feel that the Lord is happy. So that's how you know that the Lord is happy. Okay? Understood? Okay. Then what's the next thing? What about the result side of things? Then it's, whenever you've done your best, even if the result is a bad result, then you will be okay with it whenever you've done your best, because you know that you've done everything you could to make it a success, and that you could have done nothing else, right? So even if the result is bad, you'll just say, that's just the result I got. I did my best. There was nothing else that I could have done. So that will give you a kind of satisfaction and relief in itself, even though the result is not good. Is it clear? Okay. And then the last thing is, what I've already told, whatever result comes, because you've done it for the Lord, and because you did your best, then you're going to have that feeling that whatever result comes, that is what God wants for me. That is what God thinks is the best for me. I did my best for the Lord, and the Lord has done His best for me. So whatever result comes, it is an opportunity for my own personal growth and spiritual progression. You know, like that. Okay? So is it clear? First we become grateful to the Lord, then we dedicate our actions to the Lord in order to make the Lord happy. Then because we're dedicating the action to the Lord to make the Lord happy, we really do our best. And when we do our best, whatever result comes, we're fine with it, because we could not have done anything else, and because the Lord knows what is best for us. Okay, so these are the 5 points. Okay, so I've given the problem, 5 problems. I've given what is karma yoga, you know, from the standpoint of doing the action to the standpoint of getting the result. Now let's show how karma yoga solves all these 5 problems. Okay, and let's do so in 5 minutes also. Okay, so just to make it easier so I don't go too long, let me read. Okay? So the problems with karma start to disappear, right? Because I prioritize the Lord. So what was the first problem? The first problem was action is addictive, okay? So because I prioritize the Lord's happiness over my own enjoyment, it is not that important for me to enjoy the result of action. Therefore, because I don't care so much about whether I enjoy, I don't get addicted to the enjoyment. I don't get caught in that cycle of doing the action, getting the result, enjoying the result, feeling empty, and doing the action. Again, I don't get caught up in that cycle. And therefore, the tendency to hanker after the temporary things, the tendency to want results from my own enjoyment becomes less, and my likes and dislikes become less and less and less. You know, even the eggplant, I don't mind so much. Okay. Okay, so that solves the first problem. My likes and dislikes become less. My vasanas become less because I'm not prioritizing my own enjoyment. You know, I'm prioritizing the Lord's enjoyment. Clear? Okay, second thing. Because I'm accepting the result as the Lord's will, when I get the result, when I get the expected result, I don't get prideful because it's the Lord that has decided this result for me, right? So why do I get prideful? Because I feel that I'm the one who earned it, that I'm the one who did everything. But when I feel like the result of my action, whatever it is the Lord's prasad, then I think this is what I got because the Lord wanted me to get it. Not because I did anything, but everything is due to the Lord's will. And therefore, I don't become proud. I don't become prideful about that thing or arrogant about that thing. Okay? Is it clear? So that's pride. Then I don't get greedy also to want more because the Lord knows how much is good for me. The Lord knows not only what is best for me, but the Lord knows how much is good for me as well. Okay? Because I'm accepting, now in the case that I don't get what I want, because I'm accepting the result as the Lord's will, when I don't get the expected result, I don't get angry because I know that result was not meant for me. Okay, so if I didn't get it, the Lord didn't mean that thing for me, and therefore I don't get angry. And if someone else happens to get it, that was meant for that person and not for me. So I don't become jealous of that person also. Okay? Fourth problem was action causes stress because we're so eager to get the result. So since my focus is on doing my best and making the Lord happy, while I'm performing the action, I don't have any anxiety about achieving the result. Because where's my focus? My focus is on the action and the focus is on making the Lord happy, doing my best. Therefore, the action is performed very efficiently and without stress. Okay? So fourth problem solved. Okay? What is the fifth problem? The fifth problem was being caught in the cycle of birth and death because of punya and lobha. Okay? So when a person performs karma yoga, they perform their duty. So here you have to listen carefully. So when a person who's doing karma yoga and the spirit is performing their duty, they also get a punya. But that punya does not become some sukha to be enjoyed in the present or in some future life. Instead, what happens to that punya, instead of getting transformed into sukha, it gets transformed into something called as chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi is purity of the mind, or purity of the heart. It means like a calmness of mind that is free of anger and desire and stuff like that, and all these other things. You get this chitta shuddhi. And this chitta shuddhi, it brings the happiness, the peace directly to you, and it is not so temporary like sukha. It is a very long-lasting kind of result. This purity, this equanimity of the mind, right? So by doing things with the karma yoga spirit, I get the punya, but that punya becomes purity of mind, and it doesn't become sukha. You may get the sukha anyway. You may get the result that you wanted anyway and enjoy that result. But more importantly, you get purity of heart, chitta shuddhi, okay, which is a long-lasting peace. And that long-lasting peace of mind enables you to get that final jnana yoga, which gives you realization. Okay? So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. When he says that karma yoga is the means for jnana yoga, it means that by doing karma yoga, you get the purity of heart that enables you to get moksha, liberation. Freedom from the very cycle of birth and death that action and punya sustains, punya and papa sustains. Okay? So those are the five problems with action. Karma yoga provides the 5 solutions for action. Okay? So this is why it's important to perform karma yoga. Okay? So very exhaustively, with a lot of logic and examples, we've studied what is karma yoga. Okay? Next time we'll get right.